you what Malik did. Let me tell you what Journey did. And don't y'all remember when y'all was young and your mama used to get on the phone when you got in trouble at school and be like, girl, let me tell you about Tyshe. You know, shit, I went to this school, and it's like, hey, you breaking my trust right in front of my face and you don't care. So we understand we all have conflict. It's a part of life. But the thing about it is, there's a way to peacefully and biblically resolve conflict. God teaches us in scripture how to get past our issues that we might have in any relationship. And so today we're going to be exploring what he tells us to do so that we don't just rip each other's heads off.
Yeah, exactly. Because I find that a lot of people have a problem when it comes to handling their relationships and handling their marriages because they don't know how to properly resolve conflict. Because what we see conflict as a problem, when in fact, when you are with someone and you become one, a conflict is not a problem anymore, right? A conflict should be y'all versus the problem, not you in the problem. That's the reason why you're divided, is because you see it as the husband, the wife, the problem, and we have three different issues. It's the husband say so, the problem say so, and then the wife say so. That's an issue. When it should be, hey, let's sit down. We have a problem that we need to attack together. That's how we should look at it, right? And I think that that's a big issue because we haven't, especially now that as generations goes on, we start to see that this is no longer a practice. We don't practice actually resolving things in a marriage, which is why people are afraid to get married. People are afraid to get in relationships. People are afraid to just sit down and settle down and have a real conversation. And it's beyond what the cliche thing that they say with, well, how'd you make your marriage last? It's beyond communication, right? Communication is just the surface level thing that they tell you because they don't really want to sit you down and go into the nitty gritty. One of the key aspects of communication is conflict resolution. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I think that the more you sit with the person, the more they just get on your nerves. And that's not just, I know Malik honed in on marriage, but relationships in general. Your friends, your family, your spouse, your boyfriend or girlfriend. Being with a person, I think God tells us that specifically marriage is a refining process. It really brings out a very different version of you. And that's because of the tremendous order it takes to coexist with a person. So early in relationships, we'll just leave it. We'll take the perspective today for intimate relationships, right? We'll do friendships in a different video. But intimate relationships, when you go from hanging out and we like each other to let's move in together, or let's start a family, or let's be intimate, or let's do anything that makes the relationship progress, that's going to put new stipulations and new areas for conflict on the table. And so I just think that if you're not prepared to go through this one, and then this one, and then this one, and then this one, and try to move through those areas of conflict and get to the next step and the next step, if you're a dweller, a person who likes to stay in one place and not let things go and not forgive and not give grace and not have any mercy and not look in the mirror to see that I also share issues within this situation, then you are not going to be very successful in relationships.
Yeah, exactly. And that point actually leads me to my first point. Let's take it to the Bible.
We love that book.
Okay, so this is from Ephesians chapter 4, verses 26 through 27. It says, "Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger, and give no opportunity to the devil." What does this mean? This means that sin and anger don't cross, right? Meaning that anger itself is not a sin. Right? But
it's human.
Exactly, it's human. Anger is human. So it's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel like, oh, I'm mad at this person.
Frustrated.
Right? Yeah, frustrated, whatever the case may be. The emotion is not the harmful part. You are allowed to be angry if you're angry at each other. But this is the issue. The issue is you do not resolve the bitterness quickly, or you do not resolve the bitterness in a timely manner to where you sleep on separate sides, you go to sleep on separate sides, you forget about each other, to where you let the devil creep in. And when you let the devil creep in, what happens? What happens is you see that it increases anger, increases the anger, increases the anger, increases the anger, until someone blows up again. And the point of this verse is for you to dwell that it's okay to be angry, but it is not okay to let that anger lead you to bitterness and sinfulness. That's the issue. The issue is now when you have a conflict with your partner, you're cussing them out. Now when you have a conflict with your partner, you calling them out their name. Now when you have a conflict with your partner, you're automatically doing something you have no business doing, adultery, etc. This leads you to the sinful act of letting the devil creep in because you're not resolving your conflict head on. You're not resolving your conflict even out of anger, right? It's okay to be angry, but you have to understand that you have to sit down and say, hey, we need to resolve this now because I'm angry. And if we don't resolve this now, even if you need to say this, if we don't resolve this now, I'm going to get more mad. It's okay to say that, especially while you're angry, because at least you're telling yourself, I need to resolve this now because if I don't, I'm going to get bitter and I'm going to get bitter and I'm going to get bitter and it's not going to be good.
I think that there's two categories of people who deal with conflict.
Yeah.
There's avoidant and aggressive. I don't know if those are the psychological or textbook terms, but we'll just call it that for this video. Avoidant and aggressive. So what you're describing is aggressive, right? But there's also an issue with a person who avoids conflict. So conflict presents itself and the person in the relationship wants to speak, wants to have a conversation, wants to just probably work through the issue. And yet you're so irritated or avoidant of the conflict, you can't deal with it based on your emotions or whatever the case may be, that instead of dealing with it, you're also going to let the devil creep in. You're going to let festering happen. You're going to allow the space between y'all. Maybe you see it as taking a break or taking a breath, but the space between y'all, no matter if it's because of aggression or because of avoidance, is still an issue. And what I find is in relationships, I think one of the hardest things for both sides of whatever relationship you're in is to apologize. I think that when someone does something wrong to you, you expect an apology. But when you do something wrong to someone, you don't want to give an apology. And that's the same thing with stewardship, or that's the same thing with like generosity. These principles apply like in fine line throughout the entire Bible, because you would rather receive something than give something. And so when I have conversations with other married couples or people who are just in relationships prior to marriage, I find that the issue sometimes is not with the person wanting to be aggressive or avoidant. It's with the person feeling maybe offended or affected by something that the other person has said, and yet
or not being heard.
Or not being heard, whatever is causing that disruption in their emotions or whatever the case may be. I feel like the person who cares about them or loves them has to be willing to say, even if it wasn't my intention to offend, or even if it wasn't my intention to hurt your feelings or disrespect you, if you felt that way, even just making you feel that way, I apologize. And I think that the pride there sometimes deprives us of having productive relationships and moving forward if one person feels as though they never have to apologize.
Yeah. And you see that the aspect of someone letting the pride come down is the hardest part. That is truly, I think that's one of the hardest parts, is the pride to come down. I can even speak for myself, right? For myself, that's the hardest part, is to let the pride come down, because especially when you think that you did no wrong or that you are right? That is the hard part. You're like, well, I'm right, so what do I need to bring my pride down for? Or I'm not wrong, I don't believe that I'm wrong, so what do I need to bring my pride down for? And like I said, I could say even for myself that pride part is what causes major conflict, right? You can have simple conversations, you can have simple disagreements, but the pride will lead that simple conversation into a left turn that you almost sometimes can't come back from, or a left turn that spirals down for the next 6 months, all because a simple conversation turned into pride between the two, right? And like I said, I can say even for myself, I'm a very prideful person, and it's not beneficial to either side, because even though you may win the argument, right, at the end of the day, guess what's gonna happen? You still gotta live with this person. So the next day or the next day or the next day, you're looking at each other and you're looking bitter. You're looking at each other and you're like.
And I think bitterness is a part of it. Yes, bitterness. But then, like, from my perspective, I think that when you have conflict within a relationship where you love one another, I think that the bitterness can be something that makes the setting uncomfortable, right? But I also think that there should be a sense of empathy, right? And I think as people, we sometimes lack empathy. We sometimes don't feel like we need to put ourselves in our partner's shoes to see how something we did or something we said could affect them and make them feel less than, make them feel triggered, make them feel sad, just like a normal like feeling. Like, that made me feel sad, you know what I'm saying? And then it's just kind of like, if a person is prideful, it's not just the bitterness, it can just be like, how hard is it to apologize? And so I think that I have a biblical perspective. Let me take it to the book, because I could chat all day, but let's see what the Lord says about it.
Yeah, I could tell you that the forgiveness part is hard too. Forgiveness and pride, those are two big issues.
Right.
Both of those.
And so in Colossians chapter 3, verse 13, it says, bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about this bitterness or this uncomfortable setting, I personally believe that an apology, yes, you should forgive even if you don't receive an apology, but at the end of the day, the uncomfortable setting, I think that can be alleviated with a simple apology, because if the person is willing to forgive, we can move past. But I think that the dwelling, the bitterness, and the discomfort comes from either not offering an apology or the recipient of the apology not willing to forgive. Yeah. So these are two verses that help you to understand that you should resolve quickly. You should not go to sleep angry, which most likely leads to you or the other offering an apology. But then also on the other end, you should forgive quickly. There shouldn't be a time where you feel like you're too big or too mighty or too prideful, like you were just saying, to forgive, when God forgives you every single day. Yep. And you're no better than the Creator, so there's no reason why you shouldn't feel that you can find it in your heart to forgive. Yeah, and like I said, I like that verse because it tells you literally straight to the point. Mm-hmm. We all want to, like you said, we all want to be apologized to, right? But we don't want to give it out. Mm-hmm. Not understanding that every single person that's on this planet, right, is given grace and forgiveness. Mm-hmm. We're given so much grace and forgiveness, not just in our lifetime, but every single day, every single minute, and every single second. Mm-hmm. We're given grace and forgiveness every single day. Because you deserve wrath. Yeah, exactly. And I know y'all seen that viral Philip Anthony says that, but it's the truth. Yeah. We deserve, honestly, nothing. We deserve God's wrath and we deserve hell. That's what the truth is. Because we cannot be perfect. We can't. We not even can't be perfect. We can't live up to the holiness. That's what I'm saying. Of God. The standard. Yeah, we can't live up to holiness or the exactly. Mm-hmm. Which is why it's so important that we understand the structure of Jesus. Mm-hmm. The structure of Jesus. This is what we need to remember. The structure of Jesus in relationships. That's the foundation. Yeah. That's the foundation. The structure of Jesus and relationships. That means Jesus in marriage, Jesus in boyfriend and girlfriend, Jesus in family, Jesus in friendships. This is the foundation and the structure of everything. Yeah, y'all need to stop seeking advice from red pillars, from feminists, from gurus. And y'all need to take the Christ pill. Yeah, exactly. Y'all need to sit down with yourselves and your Bible and read the blueprint that God has already given you. You don't need to seek somebody on a hotline to get you a date. You don't need to get on social media and slide in DMs and try to figure out how you could connect. You don't need to figure out how you can come back from divorce, or how to stop yourself from being in baby mama, baby daddy situations. All of these things can be prevented based on your proper understanding of the blueprint. Exactly. And speaking of pride and all the things we were just speaking of, I want to get into my next verse. So this is coming from Philippians chapter 2, verse 3. This says, "Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourself." What does this mean? This is very, very straightforward and to the point. This means to put your pride, your selfishness to the side. That simple as that. Put your pride and your selfishness away. Because when you are wanting to have a friendship, when you're wanting to have a relationship, when you're wanting to get closer with family, when you want to have a long-lasting marriage, selfishness is our downfall. Selfishness. We still believe that I can go do the things I used to do when I was single. We still believe that I can go travel like I used to. I can stay out super late like I used to. I used to stay out till 2 a.m. in the morning. Well, you're married now. You can't do that anymore. I don't want to give up my freedom. No, you're not giving up your freedom. What you're doing is you're taking a notch down and bringing up your responsibility. And when you do this, you understand that life actually rewards you for doing this. You don't have to worry about waking up with those stupid hangovers anymore. You don't have to worry about maybe popping up with crazy people. You don't have to worry about popping up with a baby out of wedlock. All these different things that can happen. Yeah, this is the truth. This is the truth. Mm-hmm. We need to stop being selfish. We are so selfish that we want to live everything in our own flesh. The selfishness says, I want this. I want to get drunk. I want a new girl. I want a new man. I want to pop bottles. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to travel. I want to do this. I want to do that. Please understand your selfishness is the reason you're going to find yourself single, divorced, no friends, or no family around you because of the selfishness. And I think that's a really great point for relationships. But even people who are single now, the relationship you have with God, that relationship should be mimicked through all your relationships. Yeah. So as he's speaking about all these points about with your spouse or with your girlfriend, with your boyfriend, whatever the case may be, with family, when you take down your flesh to serve Christ, you learn inch by inch, and don't get confused. Just like relationships and conflict resolution within relationships, you have to learn.
Yeah.
We're learning. Majority of Christians and believers are learning because relationships are very complex. Yeah. Even your relationship with God, primarily your relationship with God is complex.
Yeah.
Because as I can sit here and say, oh, I love my husband. Look how handsome he is. He got a new haircut today. I love him, right? As I can say that, it's difficult when you can't say that physically with God, but you feel it.
Yeah.
That's what a relationship is. When God is in pain because of my actions, I feel empathy, I feel regret, I feel remorse, because I feel conviction, because I know, I know that I've hurt somebody that loves me so deeply. When you have that within Christ, you don't have to worry about how to figure that out within your marriage, with your children, with anyone else. Because you now know what it feels like to put someone else's feelings over your flesh, over your emotions, over your wants and your needs, and how to truly be selfless.
Yeah, and actually, a lot of you are going to say, well, who says it has to be God? How do you know I just don't feel bad? The reason you feel bad is because of what you just said, the conviction. You have a conscience. You have two great things that God gave you, free will and a conscience. And because you have the free will, you made a bad decision. And because you made a bad decision, everyone has had this moment in their life. At some way, sometime, some point, they had this feeling where they said, I just got a feeling. I just got a feeling. You know what that feeling is. That feeling is you did something wrong. Everyone has had that gut feeling. Gut feeling is not random. A gut feeling is legitimate consciousness in the communication between your conscious brain and God. That's what it is. That gut feeling that you say, I just got a feeling, I just feel it. That's your conscience communicating with God. And he's telling you, don't do it. He's telling you, you shouldn't have done it. He's telling you, you should feel convicted. He's telling you, snap out of it. This is where we get stuck because we want to rely on ourselves as men or rely on ourselves as women and not put the trust in the system that God has already built for us. And also where we lack, and like I said, going back to this verse I just read, is honor and priority. We don't honor the people that we're around anymore, and we don't prioritize the people that we are around anymore. It doesn't matter if it's a friend, if it's a family member, if it's a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or if it's a husband or a wife. We don't prioritize this anymore. How do I know this? When you get married, after a while, you say, I'm married to them already. I don't gotta look good for them no more. You stop prioritizing one of the reasons why they fell in love with you in the first place, because they like to see you get dressed up nice. They like to see you smell good. They like to see your hair done or your hair cut. They like to see you shaved. All these things are prioritized when you first meet. It's actually weird. We prioritize when we first meet people to look our best. We love strangers. We love to prioritize our looks for a stranger, but we do not prioritize how we look for the person we lay next to every single day. This is actually backwards. When I'm thinking about it, actually, this is weird. It's weird that you can put your A game on, your best on for a person you've never met, that you just met on the DM. You just met them and like, all right, I'm gonna come scoop you, or I'm gonna wait for you. Here's my address, and y'all just met and y'all look A1 for each other. Y'all just met for the first time. Y'all only seen each other for 10 minutes and met each other on Instagram. But the person you've been with for 5 years, 10 years, and you know this person, you're like, screw you.
Yeah.
You know what I look like, my good, my bad, and my ugly. And these things are gonna come with longevity, but it does not mean you stay there. It does not mean you stay there. You need to start prioritizing your relationships, because this is how you have longevity. This is how you stay loving each other. This is how you stay in the effectiveness of a healthy marriage, a healthy relationship, a healthy friendship, whatever the case may be. Prioritize, and honor. We forget about the honor. Your last name means something. Please, your last name means something. There's a reason why you have a last name. There's a reason why when you do a lot of things, you sign your last name on paperwork, because your last name means more than anything than your first name. Why? Because your last name is a lineage. Your last name is a legacy. Your last name is a heritage, and you don't honor that anymore. You just give it up, throw it away, trash it, expel it, whatever you want to call it. You demented everything. We don't have any honor.
Yeah, we don't have any honor, and we don't have any respect for the fact that I could leave out that door and you can never see me again. You don't respect that life is so precious.
Yeah.
Every minute we get, every time we get to see our spouse and play with our kids and have joy, you allow the most minuscule things to stop you from resolving things quickly and easily.
Mm-hmm.
You let minuscule things fester until they become bigger things and massive things, and we don't understand why we're divorced.
Yep.
We don't understand why our kids don't speak to us when they become adults.
Yeah.
We don't understand why we have broken relationships with our parents, because we can't forgive and they can't apologize, because we can't understand or empathize, and they can't and they have so much shame that they can't face you. There's a really, really, really beautiful saying, but it's not from the Bible, so I'm gonna take it back to the Bible. Matthew 18:15. If your brother sins against you, go tell him his fault between you and him alone. And if he listens to you, you have gained your brother. This teaches you to address issues privately.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times resolution comes from you and a person sitting face to face. The shame, the anger, the festering, the doubt, the miscommunication, all that.
The insecurities.
All of those things that stand between you and this person resolving, sitting face to face, one-on-one, resolves it 10 times the amount when you go to social media and say, I can't believe it, so-and-so did this. I can't believe.
Tell the whole family.
I cannot believe. Let me tell you what Malik did. Let me tell you what Journey did. And don't y'all remember when y'all was young and your mama used to get on the phone when you got in trouble at school and be like, girl, let me tell you about Tyshe. You know, she went to this school, and it's like, hey, you breaking my trust right in front of my face and you don't care. I could never parents ask themselves, why don't my kids come to me and just tell me? Because you're embarrassing them. You're ripping your trust away right in their face, and that goes for intimate relationships as well. You go and tell your homegirl, yeah, girl, he was and I can't no more. And now when your homegirl see him and she laughing in his face, because even though you and your spouse or you and your boyfriend done resolved y'all issues, your homegirl still laughing from what you told her. People don't forgive the same way you forgive. People don't accept the same way you accept. So resolving issues.
Or people don't want to see you happy, so they go and spill it. They
project, they gossip, they spread it. And something that was something that was intimate between you and another person, having a conversation, being vulnerable, between the two of you, has now gotten to the whole family, to social media, to the world. And then when it's hard to forgive you for that, when the person you're with, y'all want to reconcile, but now the entire world knows the issues y'all had. The entire family knows the issues y'all had. Everybody knows. So it's a lot more difficult to resolve. That's why God is so wise. When he says things, he's so wise, because everything in this book is for your preservation, for you, to help you. It's not for him. He don't need you to do nothing for him. If you never get married and you become a eunuch, it would make no difference. This is for your joy, for your happiness, for your progression, and for you to experience the fruits of the Spirit.
Yeah, and I think you guys need to take this into consideration, that you need to start actually taking these conflicts and take them head on. Stop shrinking to the conflict, or stop overanalyzing the conflict. You're either doing one or the other. You're shrinking to the conflict and you're like, I don't want to touch it. Or you're overanalyzing the conflict so much that you're turning the conflict and you're making it seem like it's a war. Conflict is neither the two. A conflict is not war for sure, so stop making it a war in any relationship you're in. And conflict is not the boogeyman where you got to hide from it. Please. Conflict, remember this, conflict is not the boogeyman, and it's not World War III. It's simply just a problem. Problem solved. Sit down with your spouse, with your partner, with your mom, with your brother, whomever this conflict is with. Sit down with each other and actually hear each other out and pay attention. Pay attention. That's another thing we don't do. We don't pay attention. We want to be the first one to say what the problem is. I got a problem with you. This is the problem. This is the problem. And then the other person, I ain't the same. What my problem with you is. No. Slow down and let one another talk. Both of you are going to get a turn. You don't got to over talk each other to get your points out to the point where now you don't want to talk anymore because y'all both saying it at the same time. It's like, wow, you're not even letting me say what I got to say. No, you're not letting me say what I got to say. And then now, boom, y'all didn't even solve anything. Y'all just sat down for no reason. Both of you, if you are adults, you're going to get a chance to talk. You talk first. And then I'll go. Or if you just got that much pride that you can't say, you can talk first, say, can I talk first? Can I go first? And if they say no, I want to go first, let them.
Humbleness.
Please understand that solving conflict is a simple task when you make it me and you versus the problem thing. and stop making it me and my problem versus you and your problem. This is the issue you're having. You're having these conflict issues and you can't resolve the conflict because you're taking the whole problem that y'all have, you're taking half of it and say, okay, this is my problem. And then now it's my half of the problem versus your half of the problem. And now it's y'all two doing this. Mm-hmm. That's the issue. Especially if y'all are married. Especially if y'all are married. If you're married, there's no breaking it in half and saying, this is my problem, this is my problem. No. This is our problem. This is our issue. This is our thing to solve together. We have to sit down and say, hey, how can we attack the issue that we're having? Even if it's the other person's issue. I'll give you a perfect example. Let's say a husband, right, likes to watch football games all the time. And the wife is like, I have a problem with you always wanting to watch the game and never want to do nothing with me, right? So now you're placing this problem on him, right? But husbands, you can't look at her and say, well, that's a you problem. That's a you problem. No, this is a y'all's problem because
it's gonna become a you problem.
Exactly. This is a y'all's problem. So you need to sit her down. You need to sit him down and say, she says, hey, I don't really like you watching football all day. You don't do nothing with me, right? Be realistic with each other. You can say to her, hey, this is Sunday. I only watch football on Sundays. I'll make it an effort to say, okay, I won't watch football Monday through Friday, but let me watch football at least on the weekends because the weekends is my days off. I want to watch football on the weekend. That's fair. That's fair. Women, you can't get mad at him. He if you want him to be a man, he can't sit there and do the whole week everything you want him to do. Everything you want him to do. No, he needs to be a man. If he wants to watch football on the weekends, let him do that. But husbands, problem solve together and say, okay, you got a problem with me watching football all week? Fine. I'll only watch football on football Sundays when my team is playing and Saturdays when my team is playing college. That's it. All this extra stuff, I just do that just for fun because I'm bored. We don't got to do that. We can figure out something else we want to do. And some nights, she might not have nothing to do and you still might watch football during the week. But this is a problem solve that you may see. This is a her problem, not me. No, this is a y'all problem because it's going to turn into World War III if y'all don't solve it. Something that simple as watching football on the weekends can turn into World War III if you don't resolve it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
And for women, the same context, but we don't really watch football. If you do, more power to you, girl, but I'm not a football fan. But I find that we nag. Listen, I'll get you the scripture, but for paraphrasing, in the Bible it says a nagging woman, a man would rather sit on the roof of a house than to be in the home with a nagging woman. Don't know if that's the exact words, but it's similar.
Yeah, you're talking about Solomon Proverbs.
It is horrible to be in the house with you and you picking. Please, take a breath. Go do something. Me and Malik was having a conversation one day, and we found that women don't got nothing to do.
Yeah, y'all just bored.
If you ain't drinking, when I stopped drinking, I got so bored. I was like, man, what do I do? Can't go to brunch, have a little mimosa, can't do this, can't do that. My joy came from social things, but for me to have a little drink, take the edge off, get away from them kids, do this, do that. Until I started to actually consider what I like doing.
Exactly.
I love the gym. Yeah. Love it. And there I do get a little drink. Got to get my little pre-workout, give me a coffee, have a day. And even away from the gym, I like to hike. I like to go outside with my kids, and I'm trying to teach Journey how to ride her bike.
She's so scary.
She just can't. We just pray for her, y'all. Just pray for her. I love, of course, hanging with my husband. We like to go brunch. We like to go see movies. We like to go do things. And so if you are nagging about, for instance, the football thing, suggest things to do. Mm-hmm. Suggest things to do, suggest places to go, and even if you don't suggest things with him, go with your friends, go with your kids. Say, oh, daddy watching the football game, we're gonna go to the park, we're gonna go to the library, we're gonna go and give him a little time, and I'm gonna take some time. But sitting there while he watching football going, and I just can't stand you, you just sitting there just lazy bum. You just causing, you're just causing issues that are not necessary. Yeah. He will hear you when that game is over.
Exactly.
He will hear you.
Exactly. So and I think I got one more verse actually.
Okay.
So I wanted to take it to Ephesians again. This is Ephesians 4, verse 29. It says, let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, but only such as is good for building up, as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear it. These are words not to bash or to belittle or to demean or to harm or any of these things, etc., right? If you can't sit down with your spouse or your family member or your friend and sit down, even out of anger, this is the important part, even out of anger, even out of sadness, even no matter the situation, if you can't sit down in front of them and have a conversation that can be healing, this is the first one I want to say, because if you're angry or sad, anything out of healing is going to be the first thing you're thinking about. So out of healing, uplifting, positivity, and positivity can be a multitude of things. But if it's not these things that are considered positive, that can come to a positive resolution or a positive result, don't even say anything at all.
Yeah.
Don't even say anything at all. Sometimes, like I'll give, even for myself, sometimes I want to say something, right? But I know if I say something to this person, like for example, my mom is a sensitive person. Sometimes I want to say something to her, but I don't say it, not because I'm scared to say it. Trust me, I'm not scared to say it. It's sometimes I know that if I say it, it's going to turn into a negative result because my mom is sensitive. And I know this sometimes better than she knows this. So instead of saying something a certain way to my mom, I'll say it a different way. That way she can hear the message I'm still trying to give her. That's the problem we have. Sometimes we want to say a message, and instead of thinking about how to say it, we just rip it off the bone instead of just sliding it open. We rip it off the bone and people are like, what? What you say to me? And he's like, I'm just saying. But not realizing who, we have to understand who and what we're talking to.
Those are the offenders, the one who be like, it's the truth.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. You cannot do that.
Yeah,
you cannot.
Me personally, I have a problem with this. I'm very cutthroat. I'm very cutthroat, and I like to say things bluntly and straight up, right? And my wife knows this. I do it with her, so
I done got it.
It's with her. I'm way worse to other people than I am with her, and she thinks it's bad. So I'm telling you guys from experience that ripping it off the bone does not help a lot of times. Sometimes it's necessary. This is where, especially for you men, this is where your discernment comes in, where you have to understand when it's time to rip it off the bone and when it's time to just pat it a little bit and say, all right, I can still say this message without taking it to the left, right? So learn how to actually convey your messages, convey your talking points in both ways. Like I said, especially the men. Men, you need to learn both ways. You need to learn, sometimes you need to be very direct, and you have to have discernment about when it's time to be very direct. And we also need to learn and have discernment about when it's time to be a little, step back a little bit. Take your foot off the gas a little bit on this one. Still give the message, but land the plane a little softly. Don't just crash that mug. Me, I like to crash them. I crash the plane a lot of times. And I'm telling you guys, like I said, from experience, that crashing the plane every time is bad. It's bad because you're gonna kill the passengers every time. This is not good. This is not good. You need to learn to open them tires up and just land the plane. Stop crash landing.
In simple terms, be gentle with your women. Be gentle because women are not men.
Yeah.
We don't accept things the same way. We're sensitive. And those are things that you like in women. Yeah. So don't ruin it for yourself and make it, you too sensitive. She's a woman. Yeah, yeah. If you want her to be a little rough, don't start saying you're masculine.
Exactly.
You have to pick your poison.
Exactly.
Conflict is inevitable. But it doesn't have to lead to chaos.
Yeah.
God values resolution. He values forgiveness, and he values relationships. So on that note, make sure you keep yours intact, and make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. And we will see you guys in the next one.
And remember, the structure of Jesus in relationships. Period. Point blank.